And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Intercontinental Hotel. What a guest we've had this evening, despite the distractions. And yes, the police are in the building. Hopefully they won't come during the show. They can come after, it's all right. It's about inspiration, and it's Thursday. Tweets coming in thick and fast. Kelvin Wainaina says, "This man is a hero. Kenya needs 10 men like him to change destiny and future of our children. Member." Ladama Olekina says, "I agree with Dr. Mwangi. Competition is healthy. We want to control our communication sector." Tweets coming in so thick, so fast. Musawa Yesu, you say, "Thanks to CEO, he knows desperate people exist and responded wisely." That's when I was talking about that guy who wants a job. Yeah. Okay. Harshi says, "Please tell the doctor to put up his systems and we will all move to his network. We suffer day in, day out." Wow, Christopher Kirwa says, "We have a history of denying people a choice." He's quoting you. Says, "Equity Bank, practiced all over the world but only denied in Kenya." And then Justice Njeru says, "Dr. Mwangi is putting a finger in a snake's hole. Tell him to be careful." Doctor, but you know, you're calling it like you're seeing it, right? It is what it is.
No, Jeff, we are really debating about economy here.
Yeah.
We're not debating about cases.
Look at you, even your answers are all just, you know. Okay, before the break I was telling you about how we are so negative, many of us, so negative towards this country. I haven't heard a single negative thing you've said the last 60 minutes. I've even offered you everything from the Moranga job to job in cabinet, theoretically, and you just say, "No, I'm doing my thing." What is it about us?
I think, Jeff, we must be humble enough to know what we are good at. The fact that you're a good banker doesn't make you a good politician. The fact that you're a good anchor, journalist, and you can see the way you are carrying an interview will not necessarily make you a great banker. We need to be that humble and say, let me specialize in this, let me be good at this, this is where I want to make my contribution, and give others an opportunity to make their contribution where they have a competitive advantage. Each of us has our own strength. We need to play on our strengths other than spreading ourselves thin and thinking we are a solution to everything.
Why are we so negative towards this country? You know, something happens in Garissa, we're all saying, "Oh, it's the end of the world, oh, Kenya, oh, this, oh, that." What is it about us?
I think we have a challenge as a nation because, and Jeff, I'm the chairman of Vision 2030, and I've been very privileged. And I look at the judgment of Kenyans and the reality, and I see a very huge gap. If you look at the moment, Kenya is ranked among the 3 fastest growing emerging markets. Kenya is now the most preferred and highest ranked investment destination in Africa. Kenya is recognized for the highest human skills on the African continent. Yet, we ourselves never celebrate these things. We only celebrate that which is negative. Yeah. There is an element of pessimism. There is Afro-pessimism among our people. And it's something maybe as a society we need to reflect and say, are we being fair to ourselves? We win where there is no need of winning. And it's a culture that has become almost part of our society. Yeah. We need to appreciate what is right, but also acknowledge that which needs to be changed. If you look at Vision 2030, most people still have lingering doubts. But almost as chairman of Vision 2030, if you look at everything, we are on track. All the enablers in the infrastructure that we needed to put in place to enable this country to accelerate is in place. The microeconomic stability that we wanted to achieve, we are almost there. There's still quite a lot to be done. The structures that we needed to put from a political perspective, from a governance perspective, from a legal perspective, from a social perspective, they are all in place. So it's when you say now the foundation has been laid, it's just a question of time. But we never recognize that. We talk not with the facts. We are very good in narratives other than facts. We still have a few problems. I'm not saying we don't. We need, for instance, to deal with negative ethnicity. That's something we need to deal with.
Yeah.
We need to deal with corruption, whether real or perceived, because that is very negative to development. We need to deal with perception. How are we perceived? Those are things we still. But we have more positive things working for us than the negatives that we always perceive.
Yeah.
We glorify and see negativity. All of us have weaknesses. Can we learn to see the positive aspect of us? When we start talking, let's say, first of all, acknowledge that which is good, and then say, but we can do better if we did this and this.
Yeah.
That is how constructive discussions look like.
And we seem to be obsessed, Dr. Ari, with politics. Politics seems to be our gospel.
It's unfortunate. After doing election 5 years, we don't stop. We never say election over, let's wait for another 5 years. It's election from January to December for 5 years.
Yeah.
Another election comes and we don't stop. We need at least to change the tide. Let's change the narrative for the sake of our children. Let's talk about development. If we devoted the amount of energy that we put to politics, to development, this country will transform during our lifetime. In just one generation, Kenya can become a developed country. Just look at the energy we devote to politics. If we devoted that to social and economic transformation, this country will change dramatically.
Is it changing, Dr. Ari, when you look at the youth, and we talk about when we say that the youth are the majority in this country, 2/3 or 3/4 are people under the age of 30?
It will change. You look at with the new constitution, a lot of things have been addressed. That youth will grow in a new environment, in a new dispensation. I hope they will not inherit the negativity that we have practiced for the last, I don't know how many years. The second thing is our youth are globalized with internet, for instance, with very advanced telecommunication. The youth is globalized. And truly, during their lifetime, this country, otherwise it will be too sad for our grandchildren if it doesn't change during the time of our children. If that generation doesn't change and continue the way we are, then our grandchildren will be very unfortunate because other countries are making progress.
And they'll overtake us.
We need to progress relative to other countries. We need to be competitive. And you can't be competitive if you are always winning.
Yeah. And backbiting and pulling each other down.
No, you need to be asking the question, what should we be doing? And then setting examples. We are very good at criticizing, but we are very poor in being role models. Be the solution that you want to see in the country. Be the example. Be the center of excellence that you want others to see. Then we'll follow. That is the mantra that this country needs to adopt.
Is that what you encourage people at Equity to do? Is that why you lead by example, leading from the front?
That's what the responsibility of every leader should be. Don't ask people to do that which you can't do yourself.
When you go to Marala, Wajir, Garissa, when you travel across the country, when you see that little Maasai boy who was sent home because of 50 shillings, do you get discouraged, Dr. Ari? Do you ever get discouraged and say, you know what? I can't solve this nation's problems. I can't do everything.
No, Jeff. If Jeff, you went to Mombasa and found crabs washed away by a wave to the sand, and you just picked one and threw it back to the river or to the water, you have made a difference to that one. If I just pick one kid, I've made a difference to that. If each of us just made that difference to one, the aggregate will be the total change of our country. You don't need to be overwhelmed by a problem. Solve the section of the problem that you are capable of doing. That's how the world is changed. It's incremental. Change is incremental. Transformation is incremental. Make a difference to one, and you have made a difference to that one.
So next time I'm walking on the beach and I see a crab, I throw it back in the water? Is that what I do?
You have saved that crab. When you go and see too many kids, pick one and educate one. You have made a difference, not just to that kid, but to that family's kid, and all their future generation of that kid when you educate them. That's how you change society.
Do they come
Gradual.
back? Yeah. Do they come back to you, Dr. after 4 years at Harvard or 4 years wherever they are? Do they come back? And what do they tell you, these now new graduates?
Jeff, I don't do this for them to thank me. I do it because I'm able to. I do it because it's the right thing to do. I do it because every Kenyan has such a duty to do what they can do for these needy kids. I've come to appreciate that it's good to accumulate, but it's also sad to have a mentality of what you could call crude accumulation of wealth, primitive accumulation of wealth, when you can do something. Wealth is for what it can do. Possessions is for what it can do. Use your possession to make a difference.
Yeah.
Not for to be remembered, not to be thanked, but because it's the right thing to do. And what would be expected of any leader to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you a wealthy man?
God has been kind to me.
That El Shapai, is that yours?
No, unfortunately.
It's not yours?
No,
Oh,
unfortunately.
come on.
I wish it was mine.
Everybody says this is Dr. Mwangi's.
No.
And El Shapai is not yours?
No, it's of a friend of mine. But I'm glad that Kenyans keep on praying for me.
Your PA, Alex, he just lost all his hair.
It's true. It's true, Jeff.
I didn't know
Other
that.
than friendship,
Yes.
nothing else.
I always thought it was yours. Okay, all right.
But that doesn't mean God has not been kind to me. God has been very kind and gracious to me. I'm happy.
Well done. No complaints. Okay, one of these kids that you are now molding, you are nurturing, you are helping, this 10,000, another 20,000 to come. Do you see Kenya's future president coming out of there?
I see Kenya's engineers. I see Kenya's doctors. I see Kenya's astronauts. I see Kenya's neurosurgeons. I see Kenya's teachers. And all shades of leaders are spread. I see our governors. I see our CSs. I see our principal secretaries. Because in their generation, they will require that. And that is what we have nurtured them to be. Leaders in whichever areas they focus on. It's all about leadership. 10,000 in their, and we are now aspiring for 30,000 within 10 years. That means 10,000 leaders for just one generation. There will be leaders in the corporate world. There will be CEOs. There will be anchor journalists like yourself.
It's incredible.
There will be PAs like
Our friend Alex.
Alex. Yeah. Each of them will have a law to pray.
Yes.
And if they prayed their law during their lifetime, they can collectively transform. They know where they have come from. They know that much was given to them. I hope they will remember to give much to society.
There you go. To what much is given, much is expected, right?
Absolutely.
There's some kid watching you, Daktari, from some village out in the middle of a town none of us can pronounce. And he's watching you right now. And he's saying, you know that wings to fly? That man is talking about my future, my dream. What do you tell that kid?
I just want to tell that kid to work a little bit harder to ensure that when scholarships are being given in January, they apply for the scholarship. I can confirm fairness in the process, and they will get there. They have a story that needs to be nurtured, and together we can nurture their story. Each born person have a story, and all that we need to do is to scale up that story. The story needs to be told. And it's all about developing stories among our people. And every human being have a story. We need to help to make those stories that can be told.
Are you going to write the James Mwangi story? Because that's a story that needs to be told, Daktari. That's a story that kids from generations to come are going to be talking about. Are you going to write that story?
Jeff, I will take the challenge. I hope in my retirement I would like a number of stories. I would like to write a story of when we were bankers. We devoted our lives to really banking our people, providing financial services to our people, and we made a difference. I would like to write the story of the heroes and heroines I had in the bank when we were bankers. I would like to write about strategy and how strategy can be homegrown. We develop a strategy based on Equity Bank. I would like to write a story on the equity model because we never took the script of the foreign banks. We created a bank of our people, a model that is high volume, low margin, so that our people can afford. Those are books, Jeff, I and my colleagues will one day write. But I would also like to write my story and experiences, like when I sat on the bench with you.
Yeah, and it was smoking.
And it was smoking.
It was on fire.
I would like to really thank and really also count the blessings and the favor I've got among my people. I would really like to write about the support we've got from the Kenyan people. The story of equity will not be what it is today if it was not for the 10 million members. I would really like to talk about their contribution, their faith and trust in one of their own, and the lessons that we can learn of how to build our community, believing in ourselves, and creating our own institutions.
Yeah.
I would really like to write that. But more importantly, I would like to to write a book about people and what people can achieve if they find a common cause that they are willing to die for. Equity is a testimony of a cause where people dedicate and devote themselves and are motivated and inspired by the difference they make every day in the lives of ordinary Kenyans.
Yeah. When people like Bill Clinton and Gates and MasterCard and all these world leaders, when they come and they see what you have done, does that make you feel that you were here for a purpose, you were here, you're doing the right thing?
I feel and sense the purpose that I live for. But I am humbled like when Bill Clinton is moved to tears and tell the children that he was born of a widow and he's never saw his father. That he was the first one in their family tree to ever go to college. And that his grandmother, the whole lineage, were very poor people and was brought in the second poorest state in the US.
Yeah.
And yet, he went on to develop a story that created the most powerful man when he was in the president of the US. Each of us has an amazing capability that we need to nurture. And hopefully, if we are patient and consistent and never give up, the story will evolve. Clinton's, when he told that story, when Chelsea, the daughter, looked at the children and said, I've been with my father for a long time. I've never seen my father this moved. I've never seen my father this excited. And then Clinton went on, when he was giving an interview in the US, to say he can now see the hope in Africa. And then he quotes the Wings to Fly program. I felt really humbled and felt, yes, the world has started recognizing the humble contribution we are making as a society to make the future of our children much better.
You need to write that book, Dr. You just have to write that book. And you mentioned a line, you said, when we were bankers. I like that. Talk about when we were bankers, because it reminds me of the Muhammad Ali George Foreman fight in 1974 in Kinshasa, Zaire then. They call that title of the documentary, When We Were Kings. When we were bankers.
We were bankers. Jeff, since 1991, I've been with Equity. I'm counting 25 years of service.
You mean when it was a tiny little building society?
Oh, yes. I served the building society for nearly 20 years.
And you're not tired?
For 15 years.
You're not tired?
Not tired. I am committed myself another 10 years.
You still have the energy?
To scale the impact and to make lead contribution significant.
Is there another James Mwangi you're grooming?
There may be hundreds of James Mwangi in our 9,000 employees. James is just one of the 9,000 employees of Equity Bank. I just happen to be the one who is the face of the bank. But the contributors are the silent majority who toil every day to see things are working. They're the ones who analyze and empower people every day with loans. I get very excited when I see us giving 5,000 loans every day, opening 5,000-6,000 accounts every day. It excites me. I see the commitment and the sacrifice of my colleagues to make our country better and to make equity better. But no, you can see the world is recognizing them. Remember, in 2007, we won the Global Vision Award for initiating a concept of the future that will change the global economy. We didn't understand. Now we are seeing. 5 years later, it won us the Forbes African Person of the Year. Same year, it won us the Ernst & Young World Entrepreneur of the Year. This bank, which was a building society, today has allowed me to be on the advisory board of the G8, of the G20, of IFC, of the UN Secretary General, World Economic Forum, and many more.
And all this because you're a member?
Just simply because I'm a member.
Dr.
Members underestimate the story we have collectively written. And that's why I give them a book, When We Were Bankers.
When We Were Bankers. Dr. You have about a minute. That's your camera over there. Kenya, East Africa is watching. What do you tell them?
I just tell them the future looks bright if we all get committed. And that I really enjoyed interacting with them. Jeff, I'm very grateful for this moment.
Dr. You're an amazing man.
Thank you, Jeff.
You have a lot of energy, and I love your passion.
Thank you,
Not
Jeff.
just for the bank or the group.
Everything that has ever been achieved has only been achieved because there was passion and enthusiasm. Nothing has ever been achieved without passion.
Congratulations, Dr.
Thank you, Jeff.
Safe travels to America.
Thank you,
Salimia
Jeff.
Awatuote.
Asante.
Come back and let's talk some more.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well done.
Asante.
My goodness, what a member, what a doctor, what a CEO, what a man. Patriotic as they come, and I tell you, if they, like someone said earlier on Twitter, if there could just be only 10 James Mwangis, this country will be a whole different kind of place. Unbelievable. But that's what Inspiration Thursday is all about. We get the best and the brightest, and they come on the show, and I hope you've been as inspired as I have. Wow. Keep tweeting at Equity Bank, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag member. Next week, new week, new guests, new shows, new topics, same place, same time. Make sure you tune in to KTN every Wednesday, Thursday, 10 p.m. for Jeff Koinange Live. Thanks so much for your support and all your good thoughts. Let's just hope we will be here next week. Dr. can I get a ride with you? Can I walk out with you? Is that okay?
Yes,
These people are probably still here.
Jeff.
Can I walk out with you guys?
Yes, Jeff.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Good night. Good luck.